The communications security establishment says that foreign cyber threats targeted half of all advanced democracies holding national elections last year. That's 300% more than just a few years ago. And the target the CSE is most worried about is you.
Canadians are going to have to do their part, and we're all the citizens having to do our part, which is consume information with a critical eye.
The CSE predicts foreign actors will attempt to sway voters before they head to the polls, sowing divisions, trying to shape opinions and behaviors.
There were numerous reports that, Canadians were fighting and being killed by Russians or separatists, basically, in the region who are pro-Russia.
Foreign entities can use fake stories to try to discredit campaigns, platforms, and policies. In 2016 and 2018, false reports about Canadian operations in Ukraine alleged that Canadian soldiers had been killed, and they were seen thousands of times on Facebook, and it can still be found online today. This expert says Iran, Venezuela, and Saudi Arabia also have capabilities. So, can this be stopped? The federal government has set up a task force to warn Canadians of potential interference.
I think the main strategy right now is to prime the population and the media and make them aware that this is something that is likely to happen.
The government is trying to get social media companies to abide by a set of rules, but it's not forcing them to do so. On a positive note, the CSE says Canada's voting system is fairly secure thanks in part to paper ballots. Protecting the perception of voters will be harder. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
CBC has a unit that's watching for election interference. Journalists Roberto Roca and Jeff Yates are part of it, recently pouring through data on thousands of fake accounts that have been dumped by Twitter and the 9 million trolling tweets they had generated, some part of campaigns to divide Canadians. Here's some of what they learned.
We found some indication that there might have been a small-scale influence campaign in 2017 on Canadian social media. So we saw that fake Twitter accounts run out of Iran tried to stoke negative messages about Canadian pipeline projects.
Do you see that as kind of a dry run?
It could be. It could. One analyst I spoke to said that the trolls might just be dipping their feet in the water, testing out, see what works, see what Canadians respond to.
Roca and Yates determined the fake Twitter accounts were repeatedly retweeting real Canadians. In other words, artificially stoking the flames of dissent in this country. And there was a pattern to the fake accounts.
Iran, Russia, and Venezuela seemed quite active in talking about Canadian issues. So we came up with at least about 70 keywords that we think are just uniquely Canadian that wouldn't exist anywhere else. And when we filtered the data with those keywords, we came to close to 22,000 tweets.
And the bottom line of what it told you was what?
Was that the two main divisive topics that they think that they could use to divide Canadians are immigration and pipelines.
So that's just a really quick sense of their research, but there's a lot more out there. In the days to come, we'll be taking a closer look at some of the current efforts to chip away at the integrity of Canada's next election and what you can do to guard against that manipulation.